What's going on, my pretty pandas? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome to the review of The Evil Within 2. Now, I normally don't do full-on reviews like this for videos. I normally just wait and write out an article and I'll post it. But seeing as this game, there's so many things that I found when playing the game all over again, and yes, I played the game all over again. I wanted to point out a lot of things. It's too important not to make a video about it. And since I feel like they're going to make a third game, which I'll share my theory with you guys during a later portion of the video, I feel as if there's so much that you can do in the game versus the very first Evil Within game. It has to be mentioned. I have to put it in this video. So be sure to grab your drink of choice. I have a coffee with me, and just relax, watch the video. I hope you guys enjoy. Be sure to comment down below what you guys thought, and let's get started with the video. So first off, I want to mention the voice actors, which is pretty crucial for the game, considering the fact that first, whenever we were entered into this world, this collective consciousness that is the Evil Within 2 and STEM, we remember the voices of Julia Kidman being played by Jennifer Carpenter, Ruvik being played by Jackie Earle Haley, Joseph Oda's voice was played by Yuri Lowenthal, and Sebastian Castellanos was played by Anson Mount, who also played in The Count of Monte Cristo. Just a piece of movie knowledge I thought I'd, throw out there. But this time around, they changed it up, and now the voice actors are, for Sebastian Castellanos, we have Marquis Babesh? I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. I am so sorry. Babesque. But it sounds very fancy. Lily Castellanos' voice is played by Kira Lisette Gamboa. I am reading off of Google right now because I don't want to mispronounce their names. Myra Castellanos is played by Elizabeth Sada. Again, I'm so sorry. Now for me at least, Sebastian's voice this time around sounded some points similar, but absolutely nothing like Anson Mount's version. I don't know if you guys can agree with me on that, but I felt like in some sections he was trying too hard, and in other sections I couldn't even tell the two voices apart, honestly. I feel like they both did an absolutely amazing job, but for me, Anson Mount will always be Sebastian Castellanos. If they make a full-on, even a movie about this, I hope that Anson Mount plays Sebastian. And who knows, maybe you guys might see a skit from me, regarding the Evil Within, or like a little short movie of some sort. What? I didn't say anything. But let's get into what the crux of the game is. Now, the Evil Within 2 takes off directly from the Evil Within, from Ruvik's design of a collective consciousness that is STEM. Mobius being around for years and years and years and years, as we're finding out in this game, is basically the powerhouse. It's the thing that is controlling Ruvik's brain and what Ruvik left behind. It's the thing that the Doctor, back in the first Evil Within game, but the Doctor basically created Mobius. I mean, even though Mobius has been around for a while, that was at least my impression back in the first game. With the Mobius document, with everything like that you find in the DLCs and everything, you see this impression of Mobius all along, and I like that they solidified it and made the idea, they made it more whole, so to speak, in this game. They fleshed out the idea of what Mobius really is through Kidman, and I like that Kidman was kind of like the catalyst for Sebastian in realizing, well crap, there's this entire place and this entire structure and this entire company, so to speak, called Mobius that we had no idea even existed. And for Kidman, it was either be on the streets or be working for Mobius. And what do you think you're gonna pick? But that's not the interesting things I want to talk about in the game. In the game, whenever you're playing a second time, I was literally so pissed off at myself. Literally. literally. I mean, if I thought The Evil Within 2 was a 10 out of 10 bloody body bits, playing this entire thing, which I will get to in a second of why it's so great now, is a 20 out of 20 bloody body gushing bits. Like, it's incredible. It really, really is. And the reason why it's incredible is because of the character Anima. Now, if you guys don't know what Anima is, I'm guessing it's Japanese for animate, kind of that thing. I don't know, I'm just guessing. I took Latin here for 4 years, so I'm just going off of my Latin and Japanese knowledge. But it's a very good character, and you find this character whenever you're first entering into the game, and yes, I played the game all over again because I wanted to experience this character and I wanted to upgrade every single weapon and every single medical thing that I could. Don't judge me. It's a $60 game. I'm going to get everything out of it that I possibly can, okay people? The thing is with this game is that you have so many choices. You have a side mission that you can do. You have different notes you can collect. All the notes bring you back to Beacon. All of the things that you see, the what's they're calling the resonance things that you see of the people who were acting like ghosts. I'm not putting this in an intellectual format whatsoever, but the resonance points that you find, they lead you to this entire universe that once was Union that has collapsed now. And the cool thing about it is whenever you go and actually see Anima for the first time, you're at Cedar Row, I think it's in the very beginning of the game. You're going into one of the houses in Union and you pick up a diary. Very important for the people who are playing this game for the first time, if you want to experience the game to its entirety, which I wish I had gone into the house when we first played the game. It would have made the game so much more spookier. It would have made the game like 10 times more immersive, and I'm so sorry I didn't do that. I know that Mark has uploaded his first playthrough of it today, which I will be watching, so hopefully he sees Anima in the first part of the playthrough, because if he doesn't, it's going to lack a lot of what people expect for the game, which is Beacon, which are the memories, which is all of this. And that's what Anima does. She takes you back into Beacon, and she takes you back into those memories that your subconscious is hiding from you. And I got an achievement at the very bottom that says 8% of people have completed this. So not everybody who plays the game The Evil Within 2 will complete this objective and will complete the objective that is Anima. Now with Anima, you go into certain realms, if you want to even say that. She takes you into certain places, and at first whenever you see her, you know, Sebastian says, "Oh, it's freezing in here," which it's an entire like bluish hue that she gives the place, which that means that she's there and she's about to haunt your booty. So whenever you're seeing Anima for the first time, she's this wavy kind of ghost that haunts you by lullabies, and she sings very romantically. If romantically is wanting to kill you, then she's very romantic. And she just, I don't know, her humming is kind of like that was scary all on its own. I'm never doing that again. But she tries to find you, and anytime that she sees you, she'll be like, "Sebastian!" I was very close to her. I'm very scared I'm turning into a ghost. But each time that you avoid her, or each time that you figure out one of her puzzles, you'll move closer and closer to understanding what happened to yourself at Beacon. Now, the very first section that you'll see her is at the house, and you have to just, you know, try to avoid her in every sense of the word. If she catches you, she will be like a Dementor and suck the soul out of your just already living body and make it icy cold. Second place that you'll see her is in the Juke Diner, of the place where you're trying to find a resonance point for Lily. And in that part of the diner, once you go out from seeing one of the Mobius resonance points that there are, you'll be encountered with her. You'll have to escape, and this part's really cool because you'll have to complete a puzzle. This is called the mirror puzzle. You'll be transported back to Beacon, and you'll have to see her in the mirror. She'll give you a jump scare, and then what you see in the mirror is actually yourself. Screenshot here. Isn't that cool? You actually see yourself from what you were in the Beacon Mental Institute. It blew my mind, because Sebastian was just like, "Is that me?" Like, he was just being like, all like, "Whoa, dude, like, what's going on here, man? This is so totally trippy right now." And it was really cool because you had to, at this point, pick the door that was lighting up. So you have to look into the mirror, and you have to pick the door that's lighting up. If you don't pick the door that's lighting up, you just go in a constant Groundhog Day. You just keep going back into the same room over and over again. And you have to avoid... Now, in this final point, you know, Sebastian's like, "Oh, she's here, you know, you better get out of here," or something to that extent. And you just have to avoid her. Now, I died a bunch trying to avoid her. She's very good with sucking out my soul, so to speak. So whenever we were at the point of finally making it down to the final portion of where we had to avoid her, you have to like go and crisscross and avoid like certain objects and all that kind of stuff, and just try not to avoid her the best humanly possible. But whenever you get to the door that you have to reach, go into the door. It has a red shiny light near it, and you're going to see yourself on a table. And this is the part of you that's still in STEM. A part of you never left. It was what Sebastian points at. And you see yourself in your old outfit and all that kind of stuff. And he actually shoots himself, the old self, that you see on the table. And then you go back to your actual world, you collect another slide, and the slide that you collect is very, very important. It leads to the last slide that you will ever collect that Tatiana gives you, actually. So by doing that, you're cleansing the part of you that was in STEM, and a part of you can move on and heal from all of this. Now, let's go on to the slides, because I really feel like those are very, very crucial, and this is what makes me think that there's going to be a third game. And it's not just this, it's multiple other things, like Tatiana remembering us. If this is a completely new STEM universe and a completely new program and all that kind of stuff, why does Tatiana remember us? Isn't she supposed to stay with each program that she goes? Like, is each character carried over from Ruvik's memory? If his brain was destroyed, then why are there still characters from his memory in the game? Very important to think about. So now with the slides oh gosh, I forgot how many slides there are, but there are a lot that you need to collect. Now the very last slide that you actually collect, you have to follow the cat over to the wheelchair wherever you get all your abilities and everything. Tatiana gives you your very last slide. This last slide shows Joseph Oda. And it's something that, you know, Tatiana says, oh, this is something you've been avoiding for a while now. And Sebastian kind of reminisces about Joseph Oda and all the things that they went through together. And Kidman says these words, that he is not dead, that she will explain to him. Now, she doesn't explain to him at the end of the game, of course. Why would she? I mean, don't give us anything. Don't give us spoilers or anything like that. Don't give us anything good to go on here, okay, game company? You're breaking my heart over here. But the fact that Joseph Oda is alive makes me think there's going to be a third game. If not a third game, then you know, a quite lengthy DLC where Joseph might be one of the main characters, one of the main antagonists, where you get to see him, you get to see his backstory. Now, honestly, the fact that Joseph Oda is the very last slide that we see is a major thing, because in writing we learn that the character that is brought in latest to the story has the most impact and will make the story greater and more beneficial to the reader. In this case, the player. So Joseph Oda being in this is just another key to us that there is going to be another game. If there's not going to be a third game and this is the finale of The Evil Within, I will be very, very shocked and surprised. But without a doubt, I think Mikami will make a statement, or at least one of the developers will come out and say, hey, there's gonna be a DLC, or hey, there's gonna be like something to add on to the game, or anything like that. Because with Resident Evil Biohazard 7, Chris Redfield came in at the very last point of the game, and there's going to be a DLC in December. So, I don't know. Let's see what happens. What do you guys think? Do you guys think there is going to be a third game, or do you guys think this is going to be the finale? Now, the fact I want to mention about the side missions, I was going to mention that before, but I wanted to mention Anima because that had to do with some of the side missions that you were going to be encountering. With Sykes, this was a character that I had mentioned before whenever I played first through The Evil Within 2. I was like, wait, where is this guy Sykes? Why are we not seeing him? You have to actually save him from a horde of zombies that you see, and you hear someone screaming for help, and I ignored that scream. Stupid me. So you have to save that person, and it enters into a cutscene. He pays you back for saving him by taking you into his safe room, and you actually have to go on a little bit of a side mission to help him get certain parts of Union up and running. Now, with this, you're going to have to go into like different Mobius places through those computers that we used. So one of them, you'll have to clear a horde of zombies. That way it's safe for him to pass through. And in another portion, you're going to have to do the exact same thing. But in this case, he's working through a way to get out of Union through those, you know, kind of hot tub time machines that they use. I don't know how to describe it, but it's basically a hot tub time machine. And in this instance, whenever you're clearing the way for Sykes to get through, it's very important to mention this. What do we see on the wall? Whenever we're entering into a certain point, we see this. Withers Creek. This is very important to note because who is the character that Ruvik put himself into, put his consciousness into? Leslie Withers. Withers Creek, Leslie Withers. Coincidence? I think not. The main thing with the character of Leslie Withers was that Ruvik needed a subject who was perfect in every form for him to carry his consciousness over to. So he picked Leslie. He was basically an insane patient. He needed help, and his brain was malleable enough for Ruvik to work with. So that's why he chose him. At least that's what I'm hypothesizing. But I kind of find it not odd, but really cool that the developers put this little Easter egg in and decided that, okay, so for this point in the game, we're going to give them a little bit of a teaser, so to speak. And this is when you're just clearing the way. And I found this, I was just like, oh my god, there has to be a third game. They're mentioning all of the things from the previous game. They're naming certain areas after other characters. Also, I'd like to point out that Maya's outfit is just like Ruvik's outfit in the first game, only a little more, you know, globby. The next thing I want to talk about is the advertising of a false bad guy. In the advertising, whenever we saw the trailer for The Evil Within 2, we saw Theodore as the main antagonist, the main bad guy. And whenever we saw the trailer for The Evil Within 2, we saw Theodore as the main antagonist, the main bad guy, if you will. But in reality, Myra is the boss that we actually fight. Theodore is one that she kills off. Theodore is the one that brings all of our memories back from Beacon Mental Asylum. Theodore does bring us to the revelation, though, that we are more than just a collective consciousness. We are more than just one in a sea of many. We are our own person, and that's what I think the developers also want to touch on, is the effect and the impact that VR can have on the one. It can bring them to a viewpoint that they are the many, they are in this collective state of being, and I think it's a really cool thing. It's a really cool psychological thing that they're touching on, where you don't become an individual anymore, you just become the group. And it's really cool that they incorporate that, because with VR you kind of feel like, oh, you're in this kind of amalgam of different things and you're in this together in a way. In Call of Duty you're fighting with, you know, different people, but you're in the same universe. It's kind of like STEM. You're in a collective consciousness and you're working for your own benefit, or maybe the benefit of the whole. But with saying that, we also, since we're brought back to the memories from Beacon, we technically did see Ruvik in a way, because we are brought back to his memories. We're brought back to his viewpoints with the death of his sister Lara, with the box head, with the sadist. We are all brought back to his memories. We're all brought back to his viewpoints. So in a way, Ruvik was never destroyed. He was just kept away in a little Pandora's box, if you will, and was just housed away until further notice, which was Evil Within 2. Now, for my opinion, there was only one really good creative boss. Each boss has their own thing, and I'll get to that. But with the very first boss that we encounter, which is Obscura, I thought that was so disturbing, so creative, and so immersive. Like a camera that's also a ballerina. Mikami stated in one of his interviews that he uses objects that don't normally seem horrifying, that aren't normally used for a horrifying purpose, to scare people or to hurt people. He uses those kinds of objects to create something horrifying. Of course, I'm paraphrasing right now, but I really think that's awesome. And objects that don't normally scare people. A chainsaw, a camera, a cup of tea, you know, something like that. They made a camera, in this instance, very terrifying, which I really like the idea and thought process behind that a lot. Now, the other enemies, like O'Neill, he was okay. Yeah, was he difficult to fight? Of course he was, but he was okay. I like the mask that they did, because it kind of reminded me of the crow masks that they used back in the bubonic plague whenever they would hold incense in the nose, actually. I don't know if you guys knew that, but inside the mask, the reason why they had that longish kind of beak was to hold incense, so the smell of rotting flesh and corpses wouldn't enter into their brain. How lovely is that? But it kind of reminded me of that. It kind of just reminded me of, okay, this game is getting intense, so we might as well just run. Don't hide anywhere, just run. Now, the next one that we encounter is Theodore, but he gives us all of our little memories as kind of little bosses, which this one, it was a really cool thing to go back into our memories and into Beacon, but I wouldn't say that it was a boss necessarily. It was just reminding us that, hey, this is what we went through and we can still be badass if we wanted to. Now, the very last boss, which is Myra, of course I love the graphics. The graphics were absolutely incredible with Myra, but it was like a standard boss. It was just a shoot to kill thing. There was no real, I don't want to say logic because it sounds like I'm insulting the creator, but there was no real kind of like, oh, I'm terrified of this monster, which with Obscura, I was kind of like, like kind of freaked out by it, which I normally don't get freaked out by monsters. And I love that they brought that effect to Obscura. But with Myra's monster, it was more or less like, oh my god, I feel so sorry for this creature, because it's actually the mother and the wife of Sebastian and Lily. Like, if you think about it, after we defeated the monster, it was still left the wife and mother. So that can kind of go, you know, both ways. It can kind of be horrifying, and it can kind of be sad, and you have empathy for the monster. So I don't know, I'm kind of torn between it on that one, but with all that being said, the graphics, the way that it's done, regardless, absolutely amazing. I'm just talking about the logic flow and the way it's presented in the game from a writer's perspective. Now, another cool little thing I wanted to talk about was all of the items that you collect in the game that are in Sebastian's room or his office whenever you are in the safe house of where you have your medical and all that kind of stuff. You have his room, his office area, like you guys know, and you have all these little objects that you collect over time, and one of them that I collected whenever I played through the game again was a Fallout item. It was a little bobblehead from the game Fallout of little blonde boy. It was so cool to see that, because it's just like, I love Easter eggs like that. I love really awesome things that just bring you to like, hey, there are also these games. This is us paying our homage to, you know, past games and all that kind of stuff. So I really think that's really awesome that they put like that little Fallout bobblehead in there. And also, one thing I really want to point out is that whenever you're with Anima and then your time with her is over, you see these flashbacks and you're seeing all of these like little things of Beacon that you saw in the very first game, which I like that they put that stuff in there. I like that they put like little reminders that, hey, it's not over yet, you're not out of the woods. There are actually some notes in there that I actually forgot to grab, so whenever I played the game again, I got all the notes this time. And some of them were actually inpatient notes from the psychologist or psychiatrist that Sebastian was seeing at the time. And it goes through, and it's like they knew all along. Like, Mobius was there all along, taking care of Sebastian and making sure that he didn't know too much. He knew some, but that he didn't know absolutely everything. And the fact that we find out that Mobius is this powerhouse. It's kind of like Big Brother in a way, where they're taking control. They know when they see all, they see everything. And with Sebastian, like Kidman said, they stopped you every time you got too close. And whenever he was seeing a psychiatrist, they made sure that he knew that he was crazy, or that they thought that, oh, he was going mad or something like that. But they wanted to make sure that he knew that he had the thought process of a grieving widowed husband instead of someone who was looking for answers. Because once you look for answers in this universe of this game, then you're getting too close, and once you get too close, they have to step back and they have to like realize, oh, you're getting too close to the truth, we have to stop you. Like, honestly, I would shell out $60 for a third game. Honestly, I would love to see how they would go about it. Would I love to see Ruvik? You guys better bring Ruvik back into this game as Leslie or as something. Even though he was in this game technically from memories, physically would be nice. I think it's going to happen, and this is just my entire bias towards how much I love this game series, is I think they're going to make a third game, number one, and I think they're going to incorporate everything. Everything from the first two games. They're going to incorporate Joseph, they're going to incorporate Leslie Withers, they're going to incorporate maybe memories of Myra, and maybe Lily, a little bit older, and possibly helping her dad. Who knows, maybe Lily goes into the Crimson PD. I don't know, maybe it's something that'll happen. Crimson PD? I think it's called the Crimson PD. But I really, really think that they're going to do that. If not, then, you know, probably a DLC, like I said. But that's my theory. That's what I think is going to happen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to mention, because with this game, there was a lot. Like, there was so much in this game. It wasn't really an open world map, but it was damn near close to it because of how much you could explore, how many things there were to do, how many characters there were to meet. This game took so much hard work, and I can't even imagine, you know, how long it took. I mean, like, okay, technically, they started this game in 2015, a year after The Evil Within. So 2.5 years? Yeah, 2.5 years to finish this game, which is just pretty damn amazing. I mean, like, there are some developers that don't get games out for like 3 or 4 or even 5 years because they want to make sure everything's right. The fact that this company from Tango Gameworks is so proficient enough in what they do to bring out high quality in such a short amount of time. I feel it's absolutely incredible. And major respect goes out to you guys. I really, really, really respect you guys at Tango Gameworks so much. You guys have no idea. Let me think of it. Is there anything else I need to cover with this game? I mean, yeah, the monsters were really interesting this time around by way of how fast they were and how many different monsters there were. Because if you think about it, we encountered 3 different bosses. We encountered kind of like mini bosses whenever Theodore sent us back in time. And we also encountered the regular kind of zombos that we meet and some of the stone zombies that we meet, which I think is really cool. The one that Myra sent after us right near the tail end of the game, which I think was pretty cool. But if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell down below because I make videos every damn day. Be sure to hit that like button as well because, you know, if you're not liking for me, like for Ruvik, like for Leslie, like for Sebastian Castellanos. Stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Peace.